Take two. I really haven't done this for a while. We're absolutely gonna get cancelled. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the As Yet Unnamed podcast. I'm Swaku, and once again with me today, we have John. Hello, John.
Hello.
And Erin. Hello, Erin.
Hi.
And just before we start, the usual spiel, like, comment, subscribe, engage the algorithm. At some point, YouTube will be happy enough to pay me, hopefully, and we can make this channel a little better. And my patrons active, kind of, and you get some perks if you sign up. Anywho, back to the video. I'm sure a lot of you know, especially those of us who have used any sort of online dating app, you know about catfishing.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that. Okay.
I think there are cards that are essentially catfish. They look good on paper, but they're terrible in execution. And I think, John, you've got something along the lines of one of the more common MasterCards.
Oh, that one? You want me to start with that?
Yeah, why not? Let's address it. For context, this was something John and I were talking offline about. Sorry, Erin, you were there. So,
What are you going to do?
Erin is finding out this real time, just like the rest of you. Awesome.
You can get a real-time reaction.
Yeah.
The card is Fame. A lot of people see Fame and they think, oh yeah, I can make that work. And they build a deck where Fame is the goal. And I'm of the opinion that it's just not good enough. It doesn't cut it.
So what would cut it then, if not Fame?
So I'm not saying so much that Fame is a bad card, you shouldn't play it, right? It's decent enough. And if you're playing a deck where you might incidentally, or not incidentally, but regularly send a vampire to torpor, like once or twice a game, certainly you can find space for Fame. But it's just not good enough to build a game plan around. It's not fast enough.
I think for what it's worth...
Maybe fast isn't the right word. I think reliable. I think if you come up against someone that doesn't fight back, great. Fame's a little easier to pull off. But as soon as you come across something that has a lot of combat ends and you can't deal with that much, or something that fights back and just happens to be a silver bullet, you're going to have a bad time.
Mm.
The three of us are not really known in our playgroups for playing combat deck.
What are you trying to say?
I've played a fair number of gun decks in my day, but I've never had them try to Fame dunk as a game plan.
I see what you're saying about your first look at Fame, and I kind of fell into that trap as well when I first started playing. You look at Fame and go, yes, I can construct my entire deck based around this one card. And sure, yeah, if that's the goal, it doesn't, there's no surprise that it doesn't win tables just based on that alone. I think it's more of it's a package deal. It comes with other supporting cards to get you that outcome, yes, but that's not the actual goal. The goal would be beyond that, either coming back to a combat deck, how does it oust, which is one of the main questions that a combat deck has to answer. Yeah, you have to have something else, I'd agree, but I wouldn't eliminate it completely. Like it gets you part of the way there.
I disagree with John. I think Fame is a great card in a combat deck. It helps combat deck out. It's actually more reliable than most of the other combat ousting sort of tech. Dominate aside, it's faster than Dragonbound. It's faster than Tension in the Ranks.
Dragonbound.
But nowadays you have cards like Hakim Retribution, you have Achilles Heel, you have
The Samedi one.
Samedi one.
Outside of specific builds with specific clans, Fame is one of the more reliable ousting options for combat decks. So my point, specifically Fame as a card, I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good card for a combat strategy. And I'm going to say it, hot take, but I think Fame is bad because combat is bad.
I'm about to disagree, but I want you to, I guess, state that in a different way.
Combat as a primary tech is bad.
I mean, sure, it's not the easiest to win with. I think, let's put it this way. From what I have seen of combat decks, in the right hands, it can be done well as an ousting mechanism. But quite often, I see a lot of people who want to combat, me included, who maybe don't understand the table as well. You really have to understand your opponent's decks, kind of like playing a reactionary deck in a way. You have to understand what everyone else is doing in order to know who do I actually have to go and beat up in order to win the table, as opposed to my victory point is right there to my left.
I guess you when you build a deck, you have kind of like a core ousting plan, whether it be bleeding or voting or what else is there?
Combat. Listen, you were talking about combat.
Combat isn't one of them. That combat as a core game plan is bad. I'll agree with that much.
Yes.
Combat is bad. I will disagree because I think it can be very effective as kind of a module you tack on. Whether you're blocking or bruising, I think combat has a place.
Cool. Anyway, we've gone off topic. Back to catfishing. Have you ever seen a photo that you thought was hot and then...
You know, what some people do is they use a photo from in their 20s and they're still using it like 15 years later.
That is an interesting angle. Take us through it, John. Maybe with an example.
So the example I have is the unnamed.
Uh-huh.
So some people see the unnamed and then they look at, oh, look, he can do Platinum Protocol. He got better. He did get slightly better, but I think the meta's just outpaced him and he isn't cutting it in the V5 meta.
What makes you say that? Too slow? Too one-dimensional?
So I've mentioned this in an earlier podcast where I think there's this new aspect of the current meta where there's this kind of building pressure thing where you constantly are bringing out more vamps or more minions, or you're tooling up more and more. And I don't think the unnamed does that. Basically, he gets his ankle cog, bleeds for 3, then bleeds for 3 again, and that's where he caps out.
Is that the fault of the unnamed, or is that the fault of the 90 cards? Because I've been told the Soul Gem Great Beasts version of the unnamed kind of does what you described.
Sure. I don't think that's the unnamed, though. I think that deck revolves around the Great Beast and Angle Soul Gem. It could just as easily be Cybele or
Nurgle.
Yeah.
I think there was a point in time where I thought the unnamed was a strong deck. I don't know when I started to think that that's kind of weak. It's too easy to deal with, right? Maybe it's V5. I don't know. 50-year-old unnamed is not 18-year-old unnamed.
Is that a star vampire problem though? Like you say, V5, it feels like it's gone less of a star vampire angle. Like I don't see many star vampire decks around at the minute. So maybe it just being a single focus is what's letting it down.
I think that's valid. I will just say I think there's an exception in wall decks. I think stars can still work in a wall deck. That still scales fairly well, right? There's no limit to how many times you can block as long as you have Eyes of Argus or whatever. So stacking up all your cards on a star blocker, I think that can still work very well. And Smiling Jack still has that scaling component as your pressure grows every turn that goes by. But any kind of star bleed or I might even say star combat, yeah, I don't think they can last in a longer game.
So it sounds like it's not an unnamed problem. The unnamed just happened to be the first one that popped up on your app.
I mean, unnamed still, going on my eHarmony or whatever, and still using his 20-year-old photo, and people are going to try him out, and they're going to be disappointed.
Okay, so listen. Between the eHarmony analogy and people are going to try them out, perhaps they're going to get cancelled. I see it. Like a lot of star vampires that used to be running around, it's still something that's got the allure. It looks great out of the box. Platinum Protocol seems to tie in, not just Platinum Protocol, a bunch of the new Anarch tech seems to tie in fairly well with it. So I think people will still try to make something out of the unnamed. But yeah, I don't think, I think there are worse catfish out there, but the unnamed is definitely high on that list. Maybe someone in chat maybe someone in the comments can prove us wrong. I don't know. Moving on from the unnamed, Aaron, have you been catfished before? Stick to topic.
Yes. So I definitely went in for Tigurius Vizio of Group 6 and Victoria Ash. For sticking to the script, I shipped them. Just thinking aloud now, what we've just talked about with star bleeding decks in particular not being particularly great, that could be part of their problem. They just don't seem to stand up. It's getting a tank up out, getting that support out. By the time you've done all this stuff, you've also got to kind of, if you want to go for a vote angle, you have to find other people to support that as well. All of a sudden, your crypt is very top heavy with you're spending a lot of pool trying to bring minions out, and meanwhile, some Power of the Inner Voice is already halfway around the table before you're actually got all your goods in place to go ahead with your great union of Toreador and Banu Hakim.
Do you like them individually, or?
I mean, I was excited about the card text, so I want to make use of that, right? So it seems a bit of a. I mean, yeah, they're kind of. I can see how you might put them in a deck individually or a different type of deck with either Toreador or Banu Hakim, but then it becomes less exciting. So I have to ship them together. It's not going to work any other way.
And it's a steal at only 16 pool all up.
They're both lacking that little bit, I think. Tigurius himself not having an actual Camarilla title kind of sucks. Or even Texas says, he can play cards as a Prince or Justica. That would have been nice. I don't know the lore. I don't know if that's accurate or, sacrilegious to even expect such a thing. I don't know, but it would have gone a long way to making Tigurius viable.
Yeah, you might have hit something on the nail there, John. Lore aside, the ability is just not enough to justify having a 6 capacity minion that doesn't sort of gel with the rest of your deck.
Mhm.
I personally think Tigarius can hold his own. Fair enough, there's no real reason why you need a Banu Hakim to be 10 cap, but he is one of the rare few Banu Hakim that can redirect.
Yes.
The title is nice, right?
Mhm.
He does meet the Kabar loyalty chain.
He also can just enchant Kindred.
Right? Yeah.
He also can just enchant Kindred. But also you have to think the rest of your creep cannot enchant Kindred. So it's just him, right?
Victoria Ash can.
Yeah, she could.
She's a 6.
If there was anyone younger than 6 that you could be worth bringing out, which maybe there is, maybe there isn't.
Yeah, so maybe it's because it's not law accurate, but I kind of feel like it would have been great for Tigarius to, instead of getting +2 votes,
Gets the ability to play cards as a prince.
yeah, sure, and +2 votes. Why not?
Sure.
That's a lot of words for me just saying Tigarius is a perfectly playable vampire.
Just the text of Victoria Ash being in your ready region, you just ignore that bit and you go for something else. That's your answer.
I don't know about a copy of Tigarius that you have in your hand, but the one I'm looking at, I don't know. I don't see that text. I just see title has 2 votes.
+1 strength.
One strength.
And +1 strength. Yeah. I don't know what version you're looking at.
There. We'll paste that version later into the comments. And we'll see.
John, you were about to...
Shit on Victoria Ash.
Yeah.
Spirit.
So I love her card text. Her card text is great. I think it's great. It works especially well in Hakim's Law Retribution decks, where late game your hand just like stacks up with green cards, right? Master cards. You can't play them fast enough because you're just pitching everything else. And she helps with that. She lets you pitch green cards and get +1 bleed.
But
I think 6 is a bit much for just that. If she had superior Auspex instead of presence, then she would be amazing. I would play her all the time. But it's just that little bit that sells her short.
why does it feel like we've had this conversation before about Annabelle Triabelle?
I think that's a different conversation.
Okay, if I'm misremembering, I've got receipts.
I remember my argument wasn't so much that she wasn't worth the pool. It's more that in practice, there's no order of play where you can bring her out and then the rest of your vamps, or the rest of your vamps, then her. It's just the ordering is off.
Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah. You're not going to bring her out and then 7 cap princes or something.
Anyway, back to Catfish.
Back to, what's her face?
Victoria Ash.
I don't think there's anything else to say about her. If she had Auspex instead of presence, she'd be great.
I think that missing Auspex is a big problem. If she had superior Auspex, you could literally just play her, Tigarius, and Alua Fun Milayu, and you get a pretty decent deck.
Victoria Ash really struggles on the combat
side
in that kind of grouping. She can very easily. She's very squashy.
Yep. It's exactly because she can't do what all your other vamps does.
Correct.
That's the reason you want her to just sit around and misdirect. Because if she does anything, she's getting blocked and beaten up, probably.
Not probably. Yes.
From experience, I see.
From experience. Sometimes you even throw her under the bus.
So she might as well not have that +1 bleed.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not going anywhere with her because she's too scared to get stepped on.
Can I interest you in this amazing card called Clan Impersonation?
I hear it's good.
Carry on.
I hear all good decks are built around it. All you need to do is to Clan Impersonate Vicky into Banu Hakim, and it sounds like you're set.
And slap on Blood Sorcery. Is that also what you need to do?
She can use zip guns. She'll be fine.
What does the clan even get her? It doesn't get her anything.
She could discard a card to give herself bleed.
Or alternatively, maybe she will work in a deck where you're not running Auspex. Sorry, not Auspex. I guess Auspex. Where you're not running Auspex, Obfuscate, Celerity, Blood Sorcery, and you're just running Auspex, Celerity, Guns as your discipline.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, do it the old Banu Hakim way, where their clan disciplines were Obfuscate, Celerity, Guns.
Sure, there's something else in there.
No, 3 clan disciplines, Auspex, Celerity, Guns.
Just play Toreador, exactly. Yeah.
Because you get access to Hakim's Law Retribution. And you can throw your zip guns for bleeds. Perfect.
Writing that down. Yeah. Units.
I do agree with John's sort of, what's the word for this?
Assessment.
John's assessment. There we go. I can English.
I prefer assertion, but go ahead.
I think the assessment that Victoria Ash is the problem is right. And it really is. She has the wrong superior discipline for her capacity, and her capacity is just too big for what she can bring to the table.
Sure.
Question is, would you pay 7 to get her as is, but with superior Auspex?
I'd add one more thing. I'd switch out the Dominate for maybe some Blood Sorcery. Just basic.
So you're saying Victoria Ash just needs to be Banu Hakim, have Banu Hakim disciplines, keep the Auspex, and keep her special. Perfect.
If all of them, what's her name?
Funmi.
Had the card text from Victoria Ash, perfect.
All day.
Yeah. Not much to ask, right?
I think it's a good idea to bring the lore into the game in such a way. I think it's fantastic. I'm not across the lore, so I'm actually not sure how significant this is in the storyline, or it's just this thing happened. And if it's a significant enough event, it would have been nice to have it more playable to the extent that you see more of it.
Sure.
I have a catfish of my own. Remember, I want to say 2 years back, there was this special vampire that was a special promo in specific events, and everyone wanted a copy of it because it was awesome, and she was like, oh my god, superstar material, but without the without the capacity price tag, and you could just put it in any deck of her clan and she'll be amazing. And then it turns out people only wanted her because she wasn't readily available.
I'm going to let you give her their name out, and then I'm going to point something out.
So if you haven't quite figured it out, I'm talking about Kuyen. But I'm interested in hearing what John wants to point out.
So if you look at Kuyen's rulings, his ability works on allies recruited by non-standard way. Oh, is that referring to a different vamp?
That is referring to a vamp. It's copy-pasted.
Okay, maybe it is a girl. Who knows?
Anyway, when Kuyen first came out, I don't think it was just a rarity that people were keen on, that made people keen on collecting her. I think a lot of people really did think that she would be an awesome vampire. The ability to discount retainers is reasonably uncommon in like the VtES card pool, right? And the idea behind it was, I mean, let's be fair, no one's going to get excited about being able to stack 7 Raven Spies on a single vampire for 0 blood cost.
Somebody in this house may have attempted that. It wasn't me.
I would love to see that.
I'll bring it next time.
But I think the idea really was that Kuyen could, do a lot of Raptor style sort of effects, or do a lot of Murder of Crows style kind of combat the effects. And the problem with Kuyen is, as cool as her ability to discount animalism is, she doesn't have fortitude. So you basically get Pack Alpha aside. Let's put a pin on Pack Alpha, because Pack Alpha is a whole different can of worms. You're essentially getting one retainer a turn. And especially for Raptors, if you want to get to the magic number, which I personally think is about 5, that's 5 turns. Like, you're never going to get there in the game. And the worst part is, when you get there, she's still not doing anything. And I think that's Kuyen's biggest problem.
I don't know, maybe it was just the circle I was playing in, but I always felt the attraction to Kuyen wasn't her card text. It was purely the fact that she was a Baron and you wanted Baron redundancy in your crypt to play deflections, because Gangrel can now play flicks. I actually haven't seen someone who's tried to star Kuyen.
I don't think that is because of a lack of trying. I think the reason was because by the time we had Gangrel New Blood, which was where Kuyen ended up in, people have already sort of talked about it to death and realized maybe it doesn't quite do what it does.
Wasn't there a very recent spoiler about a certain Samisi that has similar card text?
For ghouls?
Was it only ghouls?
Allies and retainers requiring Zimizi or are ghouls?
I mean, Revenants is solid.
You might be right. Kuyen might be just another Worm Baron in a, crypt full of already Barons. But if you think about it, okay, so it wasn't like everyone was gunning for Casey Snyder, right? And Casey was originally also a continental only promo.
But that was also before the decks came out, right? Something weird like that.
Was Casey in the V5 main Gangrel starter?
No, but I feel like she came out before the starter.
So you're saying people weren't excited because by that time people didn't give shit?
I think people had her in their collections and they weren't doing anything with her. And then when the decks came out, it's like, oh, neat, she goes in.
So I'm wondering, you said like only getting one like pack alpha out a Raptor, Raven Spy, whatever, per turn, but what about from a blocking sort of like an organized resistance, presses and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so the thing is, Kuyen sort of can block, but I personally feel not that well.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of organized protection, right? That the Baron themselves doesn't have to block.
So then it comes back to the question of like, is Kuyen's cut text actually relevant at all?
I never felt it was.
Yeah, Catfish.
Sure.
I just wonder if she is blocking, then she can get those cards in a hurry.
She can, but I don't think you really want to block with her, especially if you design the deck around her, because she's a little bit squishy.
Yeah, probably. But
yeah. I might have been convinced that there was a deck there if she had inferior fortitude.
If she had inferior fortitude, I think she can work with some kind of cute multi-X star thingy, maybe.
Oh, it's not even for the multi-act, it's just for, oh shit, someone's dealing aggravated damage to me.
I think Kuyen might be a little bit hard to sell as a actual catfish, because Kuyen in and of themselves do have a place in some decks. It's not like she's unusable. So remember we were talking about Fame, and my hot take that combat as a primary mechanism isn't great.
vaguely.
Right now, with all the however many cards there are in the VtES card pool, I think the biggest catfish for me is priority contract. And I feel like a lot of people will fight me for this.
Go on, explain your reason why.
I was just going to pause for a moment while Aaron makes faces. So, twofold, right? One, combat is a problem in and of itself. In a game of VtES, you need 2 victory points to get a game win. Usually, the way a combat deck works, in theory, is you rush backwards, right? So that you don't get ousted. That's your defense. Your defense is to go offensive backwards on your predator. And your offense is to go forward on your prey.
So I think that kind of approach is specific to Bow because they don't have flick. I think other combat decks can have alternative defenses.
I think Banu has flick. But anyway, that's just me being...
Sure.
The backward defense, you can't use priority contract. So it is a rush that you can't play. So on paper, priority contract looks amazing. You get a permanent rush that you can sort of get around combat ends by just doing it over and over again over multiple turns. You get, in theory, offense and defense at the same time because you go forwards, you send one of your prey's vampires into torpor, and you get 3 pull, which helps you survive whatever your predator might have. But the problem is the fact that you can only put it on your prey, I think is the problem. If you rush your prey's vampire just because of the 3 pull, you're going to slow them down, and if your prey has less minions, they can't go forward as much. So now you actually have to go through 2 players to get your 2 victory points, as opposed to 1.5 or 1.25 to the players worth of pull, right? So it doesn't help you in defense. You can't rush backwards with it. So you still have to pack Hunter's Mark or whatever it is you have. It's a master card. Sure, it's a trifle, but it's still a master card. Drawing it mid-turn is kind of terrible. 3 pull doesn't get you very far in this day and age. And you're essentially locking down one of your minions to say, all right, this minion, every turn, is just going to do this thing, which is going to enter combat using the priority contract. Tigarius maybe can get away with it because correct me if I'm wrong, because I think he has Fortitude.
Superior Fortitude, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably could do something if it was Tigarius. And then, I don't know, bleed more with Victor Ash. Outside of Tigarius, I don't think you're likely to put together a Banu Hakim deck that also runs Router's Hands and tries to get set up so you have multi-act that you can then use priority contract and then, and do something meaningful. I think priority contract doesn't achieve anything. It looks great, but honestly, just Haven Uncovered if you really need sort of a permanent rush, or if you really need the extra pull for, successfully ousting your prey, you could just play Kabar Glory.
I thought you were going to say 3 Ascendances.
Or 3.
I mean, we all know what the main issue with Banu Hakim is, and that's that they have very, very limited access to flick. They're at the end of the chain, most tables. And so without giving them access to something, to that flick or whatever you want to call it, giving that, okay, you can get 3 pull if you knock this guy over, I feel like it's trying to offset that a bit. I'm not saying it's perfect or, as good as flick. It's clearly not. But yeah, I feel like it's a tool there to help them do that.
When was the last time you've seen priority contract being pulled off successfully as a survival mechanism?
Every time I've seen priority contract played, the following sentence is, oh, it says prey only, and then it ends up on a vampire where it didn't want to be on.
I mean, reading the card, something.
In the moment, you're under pressure, you need to deal with a vamp on your predator's side. You have this card that rushes, and you just hope that it does what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't.
So just play Haven Uncovered. That card does what it says.
Or hand contract, or, something else. There's plenty of other...
Or, listen, hot take. Contract.
No, never play contract.
1 second.
You might as well play Ascendance.
You keep saying Ascendance like it's a bad card.
Is it my turn to talk about the Rage Bait?
You've been champing at a bit to talk about this.
My library card to talk about today is along similar lines as the Unnamed, where, you know, in its younger days, it was pretty good. I don't think it's at that level anymore, but it's still trying to be. People look at it and think, oh yeah, I remember you could do this, and let me try it, and it's not quite there. The card is Kind Resources Contested. So like I was saying, it used to be, oh, I want to play a vote deck, pick a clan that has titles and presence, and pack about 8 or so Kind Resources Contested, and you are good to go, and you might have a good time. I don't think you can do that anymore. It's just not there, for kind of the similar reason where you hit that pressure output of, let's say, you had your bowler turn, you drew your 3 KRCs and dealt 9 pool damage. That is the best turn you're ever going to have. And I don't, compared to, oh, I've got 4 gangrels and they're just going to tap with Club Illusion, that's 8 pool. It's a lot more effort for similar output.
Would you agree that KRC is kind of like Govern the Underline, in that it is the baseline?
That's kind of my argument today, is it used to be, and I think now the baseline now is Iron Fist.
Even with the extra blood cost and the extra requirements and the fact that you can't play it in heads up.
Sure.
Aaron's still processing. What's bad about KRC? KRC is great.
KRC is just such a staple, right?
Yeah, it's like the green flag you go home with.
Yeah. It's it invites you in and says, like, we can make this work.
So here's my analogy. KRC used to be bread and butter. It could be the backbone of your deck. Nowadays, it's like bay leaves. You put them in a deck, and maybe
People
they
never
kind of make it better. You can't really tell that they're there.
You aren't quite sure what flavor they're imparting to the deck.
No, I think KRC is still what you measure against.
I guess the question John might be putting forward, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, is that it is the yardstick that it's being measured against, but does everything else just measure better now? Like, has it gone from KRC is like the gold standard and everything else sort of becomes kind of like a blood bowl vessel kind of situation, or KRC has become the minion tap in a world with villains?
I was also thinking the minion tap analogy, but my mind went down a catfishing route that you probably don't want to put out on camera. So that's kind of, come back to the minion tab thing. That's a great idea. I don't see Kind Resources Contested going anywhere. I still think it's for the reasons of the restrictions on the Camarilla card, the other Camarilla card, and probably some of the new Sabat options as well, is that it's available to everyone.
I kind of have to agree with Aaron here. I finally built a deck that isn't revolving around 9 capacity vampires and above. If you squint really hard, it is a 3 capacity star vampire deck. And no, it's not toy.
Right. I'm doing that.
When I first built the deck, I was like, okay, I had the same sort of thought process as John. Okay, KRC is old now. It's old news. It hasn't updated itself in ages. The makeup's fading. It's not exciting anymore. It's not even nice and homey. It just kind of fallen off the wayside compared to Cold War, compared to Camara's Iron Fist.
Uh-huh.
But as I was putting the deck together, I realized that there is a potential for a vote deck to not just have all high capacity titled vampires, right? And then it comes back to the problem that Erin's highlighted, which is if your vampire has no titles, on your way to get titles, you need to do something. And if you have a handful of Cold Wars with no title vampires, you wish you had a handful of KRCs.
Bay leaves are really important. They're overlooked in the importance of a dish.
And I guess that's where my analogy kind of comes back is, yeah, bay leaves are, for some reason that I don't quite understand, they go into dishes, right?
But if they weren't there, you'd say, something's missing. I don't know what it is, but something's missing. There's a flavor missing.
Yeah.
And that's what the bay leaf brings. That's what KRC brings.
That's what, well, exactly that. I think that's what they are now. They aren't the bread and butter that they used to be.
Yeah. But okay, no buts. Yeah. Feel like I haven't been this agreeable with John for a very long time. Because someone keep insisting presses are better than maneuvers.
They absolutely are.
Is that all the cards we have? I think that's all the cards we've sort of thought of.
I mean, we've already talked about Sheldon, Lord of the Clog, so no need to beat that dead horse.
We don't have to keep feeding the Nosferatu is bad meme. I guess if you at home have got any ideas of better catfish, is there such a thing? A worse catfish?
More catfishy?
A fishier catfish? Let us know in the comments. Or if you think this entire episode we're just making things up that don't actually exist, also feel free to let us know. We're happy to tell you that you are wrong, but yeah, feel free to leave in comments we are wrong and let us know if you think we're wrong instead.
We're not, by the way.
Thank you once again, Erin, John, for coming onto this podcast.
Yeah.
Until next time, see ya.
See ya.